Welcome everyone to our weekly Facebook live show, Life Buildup, where we discuss your success, fulfillment, and balance. I'm your host Jawad, here with Hasan.
What's up, guys?
This week, guys, we're talking about how do you increase your influence at the company that you work for or the organization that you're part of. We have a very exciting episode for you. I'm just going to share the show a little bit. In the meantime, if you can...
What's up, guys? Good to see you guys. I'm glad you can join us. If you're tuning in on iTunes or you're listening to and watching the replay, I'm so glad that we can be part of your life. So today we're talking about how to have more influence at your work or in the organization that you're part of. So what in the world is influence, right? So influence is...
Yeah, I think when I first said it, okay, there's a negative connotation to it.
That's true, yeah.
Right? Like it's almost like you're power hungry.
Power hungry, that's good. Sometimes people equate influence with power. That's not necessarily true. All right. So, influence is you being able to perform your job, whatever your title is. You could be a senior manager, you could be, CEO, or you could be, the day-to-day worker. But how do you increase your efficiency? How do you increase your ability to, do well for the company, do well for the organization, at whatever capacity you're in, whatever level of the company, whatever level in the organization that you're in, being able to, make a great impact. That's what it really comes down to. Now, of course, why in the world would you want to have influence, right? So one of them is promotion. There's no doubt about that, right? Being able to be promoted to a higher tier. I know that's a goal.
Or maybe asking for a salary increase.
Sure, asking for a salary increase, all going along with the whole promotion business, right? So that's one thing. But as you will realize, in the next 20 minutes in our discussion, and as we have this dialogue, that is not the prime reason. As a matter of fact, if you go in with that mindset that you're doing everything that you're doing just to get promotion, you're gonna realize is not end all. Is not end all, and that's the worst.
And I think it puts you in a wrong mindset as well.
Yeah,
it
does.
Because then you're literally everything that you're doing is focused around that.
Yeah.
And I think it makes you I think it is going to make you selfish, and it's going to see that.
People pick it up. People know we're not genuine. Yes, you're right. There are office politics. There are people getting ahead. There are people cutting people out of the throats. It's happening in corporate world, happening in organization. Maybe even
I think that's something that we have to tackle today. That when there are people other coworkers, that are putting you down, and for that reason you're not able to move up the company or increase your salary. What do you do with that? How do you deal with the situation?
That's true. Yeah. So I think that's something we deal with. We deal with coworkers who come in with some agenda, or you have top level management or leadership that's really incompetent. Right.
Yeah.
And what do you do about that? Right. So you're in a company that you really incompetent CEO, incompetent department manager, whatever, and you're like I feel stuck. Right. So what do you do about that?
All right, bro. We have a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
Let's begin with defining what exactly is influence. And I think if we can kind of talk about the misconception that people have about influence to begin with. Yeah. Because, just as I began the show, I was saying that a lot of people believe that influence means having power.
Right, that's true. That's true.
And that's the only thing that there
this
is.
show is for you, especially if you're a young professional or you are new to workplace, and our age, and because actually it's funny because my boss, because at our company I can't give details, but at our company also some young folks are leaving, and they say the millennials have a hard time in the workplace, folks like us apparently have difficult time in corporate America.
Why is that?
Because they don't last too long. They're not as committed that they used to be. So my boss, we're talking, and he's like, because there's some people leaving, he's like, these millennials. I was like, that's a long discussion. Let's talk about that later. But and I'm new at this company anyway, so I don't want to butt into stuff. So. It's a thing, because I think a lot of us getting into the workforce. I mean, that's not your world, but I mean, there's still a lot to understand. Because I'm sure you know.
I think millennials versus the generation before that.
Right.
What do you think is the difference when it comes to influence? With that generation and the millennials.
So I think this what we're talking about today is one aspect of millennials, flourishing or doing well in the workplace, and millennials having hard time doing this, the old school politics. Or they get into.
By the way, to anybody who might not know what a millennial is,
right?
So, what defines someone as a millennial?
Right. So, actually, I forgot the technical definition.
I believe it's from anybody that's born from 1980s to the 1990s.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Okay.
So if you're born around that area, that means you're a millennial.
Basically, if you are, in your second year in your profession, fifth year in your profession, you're pretty much millennials, right?
Yeah, 20s, 30s. Yeah.
So you're the early part of your career,
right?
If you're at the early part of your career, this is talking about you. So apparently, you're having hard time at workplaces. Yeah. Or you're not sticking to companies. Now, and they say the economy is like that, which you cannot commit to a company like back in the days where you stick with a company for lifelong. You know, that culture is
but I think this is relevant to pretty much everybody, not just millennials.
Right.
Like having influence at the workplace.
Right.
People don't know how to go about it.
Right.
When
so
you have
even if you're watching this and you are in mid-career, this is for you, because
for sure.
The psychology of how do you have influence is still the same regardless of, and maybe for you, you're an entrepreneur like yourself, right? But you're part of non-profit organizations.
Yeah.
So how do you have more influence in your non-profit organization?
Yeah.
It's the exact same concept. So how do you so I think we begin by what in the world is influence, right? And as I began with, influence is having more impact at work. Influence is being able to be of more service at work, being able to be being able to get more done at your organization that you're part of.
Okay, so that's still kind of vague, okay?
Right. Yeah.
So
let's begin with the myths, right?
Right.
So what people think influence means, number one, position.
Right.
So if I'm given the title,
so if you're the job, if you're the boss,
if you're the CEO, the boss, the manager, senior VP, then you must mean you have more influence. That's not true.
Right.
Just because of your title, it doesn't mean you have more influence at work.
Right.
And people will listen to you for a little bit, maybe. Right. But influence is earned.
Right.
Nobody can give you the influence.
So title doesn't give you influence.
No, it doesn't. No, some people are afraid of it because you have the title to fire them. They might be afraid for a little bit, but they will cut.
They'll hate you.
They'll hate you. They'll cut you underneath.
Right.
People cut you underneath, and you'll see it. So position doesn't mean influence. Second thing, I think people have misconception is that you have to be the top. Why am I worried about influence? Why am I worried about leading when I'm just a mid-level employee?
Yeah.
Right. What I'm telling you is that our discussion here is for you. It's not only for the person who is CEO of a company, because you might think that you have to be CEO of a company to be able to have any influence in the company. And as we're going to talk about, there are 3 levels of influence. Right. There's one influencing people above you. Right, as John Maxwell talks about, and there's a way of influencing people that are your colleagues and the people that are below you.
Right. So who's the author that you just named?
John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. So he's a leadership.
And he has a great book on this. I think it's called 360 Leadership.
Okay.
So you can check it out. It's called 360 Leadership. But and one of the concepts he covers in there is that there are 3 levels of influence. Influencing people above you, people in the same level, tier,
co-workers and so forth,
and co-workers, and the people below you.
Right.
But the point is, if you have more influence at work, you feel more satisfied at work. You'll be more part. And what? As we talked about last week, we're talking about entrepreneurship. For some people, career in corporate world is their passion. They want to be part of a company. They want to do well, and that's okay. That's all good. So being able to so it's not about position, or that when you get to the top, you're gonna have less work.
Right.
That's not true. People are just worried about just going to the top.
I mean, I think people are concerned about going to the top because usually
more pay.
It's more pay. That's really
or they think of more influence too. So you're right. It could be more pay, but the question is it suited for you, right? In a company. Maybe
so you're saying that be staying at your current position, right, okay, might actually be holistically for your life,
right?
As far as how much responsibilities.
I know this sounds very counterintuitive, given that we are here talking about personal development and passion, motivation, and of course we're telling you to do your best, every day. But we have to also understand that you can have a lot more impact, because right now, this is what we're talking about millennials. They're so worried about the next promotion, yet they're not making the max out of their current position.
Right.
And you might be stuck.
Too focused on the next position.
Too focused on just I remember one of the expert, I forget his name now. He is saying how millennials, they come to him and they tell him, I'm frustrated. There's no growth in my company. There's no growth in my company. He said, how long you been in the company? 7 months. He said, you've been in the company for 7 months.
Too impatient.
What do you mean? What do you mean? There's no growth. You've been only there for 3 months. Like, you have to, one of my early bosses in college.
By the way, let me just pause you for a second. So, Mahmoud said that it's more work as you go up.
That's
so, what he just mentioned about, it might not be the best idea to actually go
depends
up.
on your lifestyle.
It depends on your lifestyle and what you're looking for.
If you want to become the CEO, CFO, CTO, go for it. I mean, that's your goal. But realize it comes with responsibility. Realize it comes with a certain lifestyle. So it's a choice you have to make. Same with entrepreneurship. We talked about last week, right? It's not meant for everyone. If that's not your hustle, then that's not your hustle. You know what I mean? It's not for everybody. So the point being, though, that you just think it's about that end game, right? So you are 1 year in the company and you already think like that I'm not getting enough promotions too fast. One of my early bosses back in college when I used to work, he told me that the first year you're learning, second year you're contributing. First year you're learning,
right.
Second year you're contributing, and then third year we could think about progress,
right?
And that's
I think for sure, like people are impatient.
Yeah.
As soon as they get to a company or they have a position, they're already thinking about the next position.
Or at an organization.
So I think that's very important that just for the first year, just focus on learning.
Right. Yeah.
And
at the organization, right?
And I think that's also very true when it comes to entrepreneurship. For the first couple of years, don't think that you know everything.
Right.
Just observe the material and learn.
So we'll get to the action plan, right? I have worked with a lot of young entrepreneurs, in my coaching, and I know what it takes, and what techniques and tools that we're going to talk about it, and we're going to give you the action plan so that you can have influence upward, at the same tier of you and below you. But we have to have the right mindset though first,
right?
And that mindset is that realize you need to give it time. Realize that it's not about the position necessarily, and that right now at your current position you're not maxing it out, and that's probably why you're not even getting the promotion to begin with, because you're not maxing out what you have right now. You're so focused on, am I going to end of the year report, when they do the review, am I going to get a salary bonus? That's important, and that's you should work towards career progress, financial progress, but realize you're not maxing out your current position, and that's what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and those of you guys who joined us just now, okay, if you guys would please do me a favor and share the show, and also drop a like on the video. Really appreciate it. Sharing the show lets other people also join in and get the word out to other people. So we really, really appreciate that. If you take away any benefit from the show, sharing the show is the best way you can help us out. So really appreciate that.
Show some love.
For sure.
So there's some of the myths that people have.
Yeah.
Misconceptions you have.
Okay, so. I think now that we got the misconception out of the way, okay?
Yeah.
Even when people want to have some influence, okay, there's some challenges that they face.
That's true.
So what are some of those challenges?
Maybe challenges you face is that you don't want to, for example, play office politics, right? So every office has a politics, right? There's somebody cutting someone else's throat, someone's going behind someone's back, someone is trying to outshine someone else. There is office politics, and I'm going to tell you today that there is another way of having more influence and getting promotions without playing the office politics.
Okay, this will be interesting.
Without playing the dirty office politics.
Okay.
There's some level of...
Can you give me an example of a dirty office politics, first of all?
So I mean, every corporate setting is different. I can't make a statement about a particular but every company has dirty politics, and people watching this or in companies, they know this, right? So the dirty politics involve you didn't do the work, or you try to get brownie points for things you didn't do. Right, because you talk more, or you...
So basically taking the credit.
Yeah, you take credit.
For work that other people are doing.
And then you take out budget from someone else, because, if they get the budget, they get more employees. If they get more employees, then their portfolio grows. So you try to hustle your way out of some... So you make a department lose so that you can win.
Right.
So it becomes about you, not the company. And even though you doing that actually hurts the company.
So it's being very, very selfish.
Yeah, selfish. Okay. That's essentially what dirty politics is.
Yeah.
It's about me and myself. And I'm telling you...
And forget everybody else.
Yeah, forget the company.
Yeah.
Forget the organization.
Yeah.
What about the organizational progress?
Yeah.
Right? So, so you want to be able to, as we are talking about, how to have more influence at your work, at your company, what's important here is you understanding that dirty politics doesn't have to be the only way to do this.
Right.
There are other ways we're going to talk about right now that you could have huge amount of influence at work, and you will get the promotion. You will.
For sure. So what are some other things people might face when it comes to get increasing influence, okay, at their organization or workplace.
That's the reason why people don't put effort into getting more influence at work, because they feel frustrated. They feel frustrated because, like, yo, my CEO, my boss, he's horrible. Right?
So they almost feel like, I don't have any, like, they don't feel motivated.
Yeah. Because my boss sucks, so I'm not gonna put any effort because.
But don't you think, like, that's justified?
True. No. At some point, you can be frustrated. Your boss is such a bad leader that it just makes the workplace horrendous.
So what do you do in that situation?
Well, the techniques that we're going to talk about, the approaches we're going to talk about, works regardless if your boss is a horrible boss or your CTO is garbage, or doesn't matter, it has bad leadership, it still works.
Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, we'll get to that shortly.
It still works. Yeah.
Any other challenges that people might face when it comes to influence? Like, I'm thinking, like, for example, a lot of people might not want to be on the spotlight.
That's true.
Like, they don't want to put themselves out there.
Right.
Because I think some part of having influence is that you have to put yourself out there.
Right.
Versus just kind of handling your own work, being in your own corner. That seems much more safer.
It does, and I think sometimes people feel like that because their idea is, if I get involved, it's gonna be dirty. Like, if I try, because they see everyone else playing dirty.
Yeah.
They know that if I get in this game.
So there are particular reasons why you might feel that I don't want to increase my influence. Okay, I don't want to be in the spotlight.
I just like my position. I want to just be there. But I'm telling you, there's ways of maxing out. You could do a lot more for your company, make a lot of money for yourself, and and even get that promotion.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's get right down to it. Okay, so you mentioned, like, the 3 types of influence that you can have. Influence with the people.
3 types.
So that's influence with the people that are above you.
Yes.
People that are at the same level, so your coworkers and so forth.
Yeah.
And also people that are below you, like a team that you might be managing. So that's the
true. Yeah, I mean,
the third level.
I have young professionals, whatever, that I have coached in the past, and they struggle in the workplace.
Yeah.
And they shared with me what they're going through and struggling, and we talked about this.
And guys, like, as we're having this conversation, if you guys can, kind of share your experience. We'd love to hear, what you guys are going through, and also, like, if, I'm sure, like, Hasan can give you guys some great advice on how to overcome it as well.
Right, that's true.
So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this topic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't work in corporate. I'm in mental health and clinic. It's still it is in a corporate type of world, type of work. And so I definitely share with you in that experience. But having worked with a lot of people working for all different kind of companies, from IT to law to becoming a partner at your law firm, to working for one of the top 4 in accounting, to working in a hospital chain. The game is the same. And the point is for you to feel better at work. Don't go in there in a toxic environment. Make a nice space for yourself and be able to have an impact with the organization, right? So the first one here is, how do you have more influence with people above you?
Right.
Okay, that's the first part. So number 1 in having more influence with people that are above you, you gotta lead yourself first. So you gotta do your job good. So whatever you
gotta be the best at your work. So don't slack.
They say manage yourself first.
Yeah.
So you want to really have influence. It's not you going and buying a coffee for your boss.
And I think it's also if you're gonna be having an influence, right? That means you're gonna get a promotion.
Right.
That means you're gonna have people under you.
Right.
And how are you going to lead people under you if you cannot lead yourself?
Yeah. So big part of having influence with people above you is actually leading yourself.
Right.
So you got to do your job title very well, like really well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't be like, I'm slacking at my task that I've been assigned. I'm gonna go ask the boss. Boss, you need some help? Hey, can I get involved in this project? Dude, you're not meeting your deadlines.
Right, yeah.
Why would you take some? So they say, the bosses, or someone who's above you, they don't want to have to worry about you. If you can get your job done and do it well, and you clean and hit the deadline, get the work done, productive, then they don't have to worry. You are helping the leader. They look okay.
And that's what they care about.
Yeah,
you're making his life a lot easier.
Yeah, his or her life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So being able to lead yourself.
Yeah,
that's the first thing, and that also goes into your own personal life. You want to make sure that you're managing your personal life well.
So your physical body, your family relationships.
Because if you have chaos going on at home, you're not gonna be effective at work.
Yeah. For sure.
So managing your balance, so forth. Number 2 is you got to be willing to take on tasks that's not yours. At your workplace, you got to be willing to take on tasks.
So taking an extra load.
Yeah. Once you have managed your load first, right? Then take on the extra load. And people are all stuck. Oh, it's not my job. And you find this especially with low level workers, right? Low level workers, you give them something, they go, oh, it's not my job. It's not my job title. Every day another day another dollar. That's the mentality people go to work with.
Yeah.
No, I mean sometimes it's about the company. It's about the mission and vision of the company, and the organization you're part of. Even if it's not your job title, if you have managed yourself, you have extra time, take the load off of your leader. Take the load off your boss. Take the load off your manager. That's part of how you do it.
But how do you deal with when your load is too heavy, or let's say because you're doing such a good job, okay, your manager's just giving you more work and more work and more work.
That requires communication.
I think that's one of the reasons why people don't want to do their job well.
Because you're not being efficient. You don't communicate with your boss. You communicate with the manager. You have to be able to not. You have to have humility.
So communicate what?
Communicate what you're doing, how much time you're putting into it, and what it requires, and how you can be more efficient if you did whatever you did.
Do you want to talk about that now? How do you communicate that?
That's a whole different discussion on and how to even communicate.
Like a short, quick. Okay, how would you go about communicating that? Hey, listen, these are the things that I'm doing.
You need to be.
These are the results.
First, you got to start from the beginning. You can't keep doing it and staying silent for a long time, and then it builds up, piles up. Then you're you have all these tasks to do. You need to communicate. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what we're up to. This is how much time I'm spending, and I just can't. I think it'll be more efficient if we got a second person to help out. Can we get a consultant to take care of this? You got to be able to communicate that from the get-go. Right, be surprised, but managers and VPs are.
So I think as long as you're doing hard work, and you communicate that, okay, your boss will understand.
Right. If you are on Facebook for 1 hour and then you're expecting that I'm getting more work. I'm not. Somebody's paying you for those hours.
Right.
So you're supposed to be able to produce.
Yeah.
Right. So if you do your job well, and then you can communicate with your boss, and there's ways of communicating, showing that what value you are bringing, and then showing that you could be more efficient this way or that way. You'll be able to take your proper load.
Okay.
Once you do that, then
that was a little bit sidebar, but continue.
Yeah. So in being able to take up load from your
boss.
Yeah. And then number 3 is knowing when to push, and knowing when to pull out. What does that mean? Having influence means with your boss, with your managers, with your sometimes you want to push an agenda, but at the same time you don't want to push it so much that it's the wrong time.
Right. So I think that's what people are most afraid of. They have suggestions, they have ideas, or they have recommendations they want to give to their boss, but they're afraid that they're stepping on the wrong boundaries.
Right. Yeah.
And the boss will feel that you're kind of
people trust you when there's consistency. If you're punctual, if you are meeting your deadlines, if you're putting together your reports correctly, if you are getting your job done,
so I think you need credibility before you bring up suggestions, ideas, and so forth.
Yeah. And you got to be able to in part of knowing when to push, knowing when to pull out. When you have an agenda, you have something. Agenda even includes a promotion. Agenda even includes an idea for the department. You got to know when to push the agenda, and organization too. When you're going to go up to your leader, go up to the president of the nonprofit, you gotta know when to push, when to pull. It might be the wrong time. You have a corporate deadline that was.
I think part of that is kind of being sensitive and.
Perfect. So part of that is knowing the rhythm of your upper tier management. Rhythm means you gotta know them at a personal level. So it's not just about at work. You got to be also able to see.
How do you go about doing that?
No, you have to.
Do you buy them coffee?
Well, beyond that, you have to be able to attend social gatherings.
Right.
As much as you can. Being warm up chats. Those are very important. So getting to know at a more frank level than just work task. You got to be able to invest.
So whenever there's social gatherings at the office, try to attend those and
being part of it. Being part of that helps.
Okay.
And good. Then we get to people that are at the same level at you, right? So this is where a lot of the fights happen, or there's a lot of the.
So people that are same level, so meaning your colleagues, your colleagues,
same tier team member.
Right.
Okay? This is where a lot of the politics happen, right? Because
you guys are the same level. And
so here's a twist. I want you to go into work with a resource mindset than a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
What do I mean by scarcity? Scarcity means there's only a certain amount of position available, there's a certain amount of promotion available. It's gonna be dog eat dog. Who can get on top?
Yeah.
Go in with the mindset that you're just contributing. Going in the mindset of we can all win together.
So go with the win-win
mindset. Yeah.
Don't go with
you might be right.
Somebody gotta lose.
You might be right. There might be, when your next manager leaves, only one position does open up. You have 100% right about that. But you can't go in that with that mindset though, because you're gonna compete, but from a whole different angle. You're gonna compete with influence.
Right.
Not with cutthroat who can put anybody down.
You're gonna get into dirty politics.
Yeah.
Okay, if you go in with that attitude.
Going with that, I'm gonna be of service. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna lift up my other colleagues, and you'll see people will put you forward. You know.
And this is for the people that are your colleagues.
Colleagues, yeah.
Okay, this is how you behave around your colleagues.
Yeah. So teamwork, it comes before competition. So even if you're at a meeting,
say that one more time.
Teamwork comes before competition.
Okay, I think that's extremely important.
Yeah.
You know, because I think when my last job was like a year ago.
Right.
But I think, and I was working with a bunch of my colleagues.
Right.
And that was a very, very important thing that we had to implement. Because there were workloads from everybody
right.
that other people had to pick up.
Right.
And if you were to thinking like, you know what, I need to worry about my competition and see how I can get ahead, it wouldn't have worked.
Look, most of the time, people who play dirty politics to get ahead, they might get ahead temporarily, but in the holistic picture, they never win.
Right.
And even if they get some temporary positions, you don't have inner peace. You're constantly agitated, constantly fighting, dirtying, who's good, cutting whose throat.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
You don't live life like that.
Yeah.
But you go in there with the position.
You will feel crap about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go in with the influence, and you really at the best in your trade, and you bring the most value. You're gonna get.
So you go in with the attitude of
value.
Adding value and adding contribution from a selfless, perspective.
Right. So
for sure.
So it's very important. Teamwork comes before competition. So even if you're at a meeting and a team member has a better idea, and you prepped your idea for the last 1 week and you have the presentation ready, somebody has a better idea for the company, go with it. Support that person. People will know. People will see. Trust me. Honesty shows up.
Right. And that might hurt. I think, supporting someone else's idea over your idea that you prepped and so forth.
The ego, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And you got to be brutally honest at that point.
Right.
Again, go in from a, place of honesty and
value.
And value and integrity,
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
And developing friendship. So with colleagues, develop friendship. They might think you're a competition, all that, but going with a genuine mindset. You know what? Yeah, I know we're all trying to get higher up, talk, whatever.
Usually at workplace, I think coworkers hate each other, and colleagues hate each other.
Right.
So how do you actually go and develop that friendship?
So same way as a top leadership is you want to contribute in their life, add some value to their work, without taking credit. Because you help someone else, fix their report, you don't have to go tell your boss about it. You'll be surprised that comes out.
Yeah.
And you add that extra 10 minutes, you're like, man, I think we fix it this way. You have to go tell your boss, hey, I was helping him fix the report. You have to go around saying that. Right?
If you do it on a consistent basis, it will show automatically.
But again, with your higher bosses, you need to let them know what you're working on, how you're working on them, and so you do want. It's not about bragging. It's not about showing off. It's about letting them know that what you're working on. So that you have to communicate.
I don't think you covered anything regarding that. How do you actually do that?
That's the same question you had for me a few seconds ago. It's about how do you communicate that, right? If you have too much work, same thing. It's being able to keep your boss in the loop about what you are doing. Keep your manager in loop what you're working on, and then being.
So is it almost like you send let's say a weekly email to him saying that, hey, listen. This week, these are the things that I worked on.
Depends on your corporate culture.
Okay.
Your corporate culture. You have to bring it up. You can't be like, I'm gonna just stay silent about it, and people will know that I did it. No, you gotta bring it up.
Right.
You gotta say it. So I'm proud of the fact that I was able to finish this project. I'm glad that I was able to take initiative. You gotta be able to say that.
Right.
It's okay. You're coming from a humility. You're not making stuff up. Right. You're saying the
truth. You're not trying to lie or brag
that's where the problem
exaggerate.
Lie, exaggerate, cut somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. Take other people's credit.
Right.
Or put other people down. Don't let them talk. That's where the problem comes.
Right.
Taking credit for the stuff that you put your hard work in. That's good. You should do that.
Yeah. For sure.
So that's people that same level as you. You gotta have that. You gotta develop that. Sort of the friendship, and it's important. And people will value that.
And lastly, like, the people that are below you.
Good.
So how do you have influence with them?
That's
so whether with the team that you manage or,
So if you are already at some leadership position where you have some team members or you have staff or your consultants are working for you, this is important for you. Okay. So number one is you need to have humility. So as John Maxwell, he talks about don't rush in the hallway. Right? Especially the higher up you go, what people do? Close their office doors. Because they got that corner office, right? So they close their office doors, never show up in the hallway. Nobody knows you, right? And then you get outside and you send a memo out to the company. They're like, who are you? And people like read the memo, they get upset, or they read the email and they go, you're talking too much, People don't have that, sometimes you need to get out to the damn office and shake people's hands and say, hey, how's it going?
Let's be nice to people.
Find
like
out,
just because somebody
whose kid's graduating, find out whose kid is in the hospital. Find out about those things, especially your team members. You know? It's okay.
And I think like if you go in with that mentality of like selflessness and like trying to befriend people, okay, it's automatically you're able to achieve that. But if you go in with the attitude of like I'm just trying to get mine, and it's just about me, myself, and I, then you're not worried about that. So
and practice what you preach. So if you're a team leader, if you're a manager, then practice what you preach. If you're gonna tell everyone you better be here at 7, and you always showing up late because you can because you have the flexibility. Upper tier management don't tell you anything because you're the manager. You're like, no, I stay late when I need to get the stuff done. But if you're gonna make a rule that everyone got to be here this time, you're gonna make a rule about email, then you got to practice what you preach.
For sure.
You can't be doing
And like I think a lot of the times people jump into these things right away. Okay, what would be a more safer approach? Okay, to do this. So like, for example, what I'm trying to get at is, I think maybe you should have like some kind of rule set up for yourself that, hey, listen, if I'm able to show up to work on time for the next 3 months, okay, then I'll have the right to like, advise my colleagues or recommend them.
But even if sometimes say you are the VP of a department, right? You need to attend meetings at the other corporate office. You got to be able to have the flexible schedule. But for your floor machine operator, they got to be on time at 8 o'clock because the machine runs at 8, right? So,
but I get that. I get that. Like sometimes your responsibilities are not the same as like someone else's.
You have to understand that you need to have the flexibility because you have team meetings with folks in your UK office and things like that, and that's normal.
But what about things that are that are applied to everyone?
So you got to be able to have an A game for yourself, and that's why you should not have gotten to that position until you really contributed and brought value. And you led yourself.
For sure.
Instead of playing fake.
So before you bring this up, okay, remember, you have to lead yourself first.
And develop people. So treat each people like people, like human beings. Not just showing them the protocol, teaching them how to make that sales call. That's not education. That's not nurturing. Who does this really well? Is Starbucks. Starbucks, I think, one of the companies that's known for really improving their employees. Right? They say that we hire, some of the most, youngest people that are at their first job. And they really train these people. For sure. I mean, I heard like, like everybody that works in Starbucks. I hear great things about their work experience there. They train them on custom relations, and so work on developing people. And you might be right. I'm going to work on him. He might even quit the job, next year.
So people that are not working in Starbucks, right?
At your IT company, whatever.
So what should they be doing? Like,
so as a leader, as a manager, as a VP, you should be cultivating your subordinates.
What if you're not a VP or like a manager or so forth, and you're just under that?
Okay, but do you have people that are under you? That's the question. And this section is for those people who have some people under them that they manage. So for people, if they
this doesn't matter if you're a VP or it doesn't matter if you're like just a regular entry level worker. As long as you have people that are under you, right? Okay, this is how you treat them.
You need to have the influence with them too.
For sure.
They're not gonna follow you just because for the heck of sake of the fact that
you have a title.
That you're a project lead. Who cares? You're a project lead. Right? You don't have the influence for it. So you have to be able to contribute to their life, get to know them. You got to be able to treat people like human beings. Find good in people. And be able to communicate and elaborate. And you'd be surprised, people respond well when you are genuine, when you are honest, when you have integrity, and when you are really qualified because you have an A game yourself. You got to have an A game yourself.
For sure. I think you know, we're gonna end the show early today, guys. Do you want to give like a wrap up? You know, just a summary of what we discussed.
So what we're talking about today is how to have more influence at your work, right? At your company that you're part of, or even non-profit, in an organization that you're part of. And we said you have to focus on, no matter what position you're in, you could have influence, more influence that you have now. You could max out more than you have now, and that begins by, you know, it's a you know, your influence on the top, influence at the same level, influence below you, and on the top, making sure that you do your job well, you lead yourself well, you know, you take on the load of your upper tier, you know, you build a human connection with the same tier as you. Don't go in with the competition mindset. Go in with the resource mindset. Befriend, you know, encourage, and be, you know, be a team player, and you will get rewarded. You will see, you know, with your team player, you automatically bring this clout in the office. When you go in with this genuine, you know, work in a genuine value mindset, I'm telling you, you bring this clout. You know,
and you might not realize that in the beginning,
yeah.
But like, you know, you do bring that, for sure.
And then people below you, make sure you're not walking around the office because you got a corner office, and other people have cubicles. You don't even stop by to see your team members. You know, you gotta stop by, say, hey, how's it going? Build a human connection. Treat people as people. You know, and people first. And you'll see a great change, and you'll like your work better. You have more influence, and regardless if you stay in the company or not, maybe the company doesn't align with your life goals. That's fine. You could change jobs, and that's fine. But no matter where you are, you left the impact. That's what's important. And life is about impact. You know, of course, and making sure you lead yourself well, because you're balancing your family and your own, you know, body and everything else.
Yeah, for sure. I think, guys, that about summarizes it. This week we're gonna end the episode early today. I think
we are past 37 minutes.
Yeah,
so not that early.
Okay, I didn't even realize.
Sometimes we do 45 minutes. So,
but anyways, guys, if you stuck with us, you know, from the beginning, we really appreciate it.
And if you listen to the replay, I'm hopeful that it was beneficial, and you can really apply from, you know, at your workplace, no matter where you are.
And if you guys have any follow-up questions or any specifics, things that you need to clarify, feel free to reach out to Hasan. You know, and
start small. I'll leave you with this. Start small. And some people, you know, you want to work, you just like focus on your job, worried about, you know, this. You need to go in with that, with the life mentality. You need to go in there as a life. You know, with people, with building human connections, communicating. That's what. And if you haven't done that yet, start small. And you know, building influence to colleagues also means having friends across your department. Don't just try to make friends within your team. It's good to have friends outside your department.
Right.
You know, that brings influence at work. You know, so make sure and it becomes a small chit chat, a small get together, and invest time in people. That's the biggest point here.
Yeah. So for sure, guys.